Venturing into the Amazon is considered fairly dangerous, even with guides or escorts. Davey Duplessis went on a solo Amazonian adventure, hoping to raise awareness for environmental issues, and narrowly escaped a near-fatal shooting.
What captivated me about adventure was the ability to get out of my comfort zone and to experience parts of the world that very few individuals get to go to. I believe everyone ultimately has an adventurous spirit, but ultimately what I wanted to do was I wanted to be able to use that in some form of promoting something greater than just my own journey or my own experience.
Davey's solo source-to-sea journey on the Amazon River encouraged a take-action approach towards environmental issues, entitling the cause as an empowerment for the environment.
In 2012, I planned to navigate the Amazon River from source to sea. It was a 6,700 kilometer journey that was broken into 3 stages where I would hike and I would cycle and then later kayak in order to navigate the entire river. 2 months into the projected 5-month journey, just paddling down the river, these 2 guys, I saw them come past me, but I didn't think much of it at the time, and they actually had strategized an ambush. As I was paddling, I was shot in the back, and then I was shot twice more as I swam to the riverbank. By the nature of the attack, I didn't see anyone, I didn't hear the bang. I initially thought I was being attacked by an animal. I remember sitting in the shallows of the river and seeing a pool of blood, and that's when I eventually realized the situation. From there, I decided to run, and as I ran away from these guys who were attacking me, they shot again and hit me in the left thigh. I took off into the jungle for a bit, and then after a few kilometers, I happened to find 2 other communal members from a different community. They took me in, and then the plan was devised to hop me through the jungle until I eventually could reach a hospital, which was a day later. So I was hopped through 5 different communities. I eventually got to a hospital. I got to the hospital, they wouldn't help because I had no money, I had nothing, any proof of identity. And then from there, I managed to get hold of the phone and called my mom, and she went on this big networking spree. And fortunately, we had some representatives from South African breweries who stepped in. They came to this place where I was in the jungle in a city called Pukalpa. They offered to pay a surety, and I was then given air support to a hospital in Lima. Just under 2 days after the attack, I eventually got to a hospital where I remained for just under a month. I was shot 4 times with a shotgun, which was probably a pro in this situation because I had 2 headshots, and a headshot with a rifle, I probably wouldn't be here sharing the story. The main 4 injuries was the shot to the carotid artery, where I now have a stent, a punctured windpipe, punctured lung, and a punctured heart. And one of the shots that went through the heart actually went straight to the outer wall and landed perfectly positioned in the septum. And then other than that, I had severe internal bleeding, and still have a lot of shots lodged in my back and my neck and in my face. But I think ultimately what adds to the story was not the shooting. I mean, people get shot all the time, but it was the nature of the attack. It was by the fact that getting shot in the Amazon is not the difficult part, it's how do you get out. And that's kind of where the whole story takes flight, is in this incredible cooperation between me, an outsider, and these very isolated communities in the jungle, and how they actually got together and pooled their resources to get me to a hospital.
Davey wouldn't have survived without help from indigenous people, like an old lady he remembers who cleaned his wounds and washed mud from his body. His survival is miraculous.
Well, I remember when I was having the 4th operation to get the stent in place, and my mom went and asked the doctors, like, how did he get through this? I found when a doctor doesn't have an answer, they either say it's luck or it's a miracle. In this case, they said it was both. So I don't know the extent of how I survived through that. I do pay a lot of tribute to having a healthy lifestyle. I mean, I don't drink, I don't smoke. I'm a raw vegan, which I believe has allowed to an extent my body to deal with that trauma in that process. But again, it's not why I survived. I think it was accumulation of the help of people, of having a body that could endure a degree of physical stress, being able to go through a potentially traumatic situation and mentally understand it.
Since the attack, Davey has gone on to write a book chronicling his experience and inspiring others. He's also highly sought after as a motivational speaker who uses his experience to inspire others.
I knew that I had potentially a very powerful story that could either add to creating more of a negative perception that a lot of people have in especially South Africa, or I could ultimately use this story that had a negative aspect and use it to provide some sense of positivity, some sense of optimism, some sense of hope.
Despite all he has survived and living with shrapnel near his heart, Davey's spirit of adventure has him planning some big things for the future.